Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is an action-packed thrill ride featuring Tom Cruise that is doing his own stunts best. But not satisfied with that, he was also insistent on learning sleight of hand as well. Today I'll be looking into how he pulled off these death-defying and eye-defying feats in more detail and other behind-the-scenes secrets from the movie. Anything I've missed? Let me know.
I have no idea.
The franchise's star, Ethan Hunt himself, Tom Cruise, famously does his own stunts, but he doesn't stop at climbing rock walls or hanging off the side of planes. No, he was so keen to do as much in this movie as possible, he learnt magic. The actor insisted he would figure out how to perform sleight of hand himself rather than hiring a hand double, because if you want something done properly, that's not marriage, then get Tom Cruise to do it. Although saying that, it took a few takes before pulling the trick off. We'll cut him some slack as no visual effects trickery was used for the scene, only bog-standard magic trickery. To help him do it, British magician Ben Hart was brought on as a sleight of hand consultant behind the tricks in the movie. For more behind-the-scenes movie magic, please subscribe. But now for Cruise's next trick. A certain global illness from a few years ago caused havoc on set, which I'll go into a bit more detail on later. But to try and mitigate filming issues caused by you-know-what, he hired an $800,000 Tom Cruise ship for the cast and crew to hide on. This was after a 5-month delay that hit production. It's thought he rented a Hurtigruten watercraft for filming in Norway, as he was determined to avoid further setbacks and get the movie back on schedule. This checks out, because if there's one thing that Tom Cruise is, it's determined. But despite their determination, the production team couldn't get the budget down. When making movies, delays cost money, and this movie cost an awful lot. $291 million to be precise, making it the most expensive Mission Impossible film ever, at over $100 million more than Fallout. This made the movie the most expensive film of Tom Cruise's career, and the most expensive film ever produced by Paramount, overtaking 2017's Transformers: The Last Knight, with that movie's budget of $217 million. The insurance company Chubb originally gave Paramount around $5.4 million for the issues, which is pocket change in terms of Hollywood, arguing that the cast and crew could still fulfill their duties despite not being able to go near each other. Comforting to know that insurance for movies is just as much a racket as everything else. Eventually, after legal action, Paramount got Chubb to give them a $70 million payout in 2023. But even after that, Dead Reckoning Part 1 was the most expensive film for Cruise, Paramount, and the franchise. Even though Cruise is the one we look to for authentic action, he's not the only one with a few tricks up his sleeve. Pom Klementieff, who plays the formidable Paris in the movie, was known to be such a self-propelled force of nature on set. Director Christopher McQuarrie nicknamed her Pom Cruise for her gymnastic skills. But this wasn't Pom's first rodeo. Long before she got her role in this movie, she had trained with Jason Noviello, a 3-time world karate champion. We'll be looking at the French actress again a little bit later on, but it wasn't just Pom and Tom who had skills on set. For her time behind the wheel in Rome, English actress Hayley Atwell needed to get up to speed at speed to prepare to do as much of a chase scene for real while handcuffed to, not just her co-star, but her executive producer boss, Tom Cruise. This meant working with renowned stunt coordinator Wade Eastwood, who put her through her paces over 6 months of training. Eastwood was focused on making his students slick when it came to drifting, but also aware of the speed and precision needed to avoid obstacles, and an even bigger payout from that insurance company we mentioned earlier.
It truly is the honor of a lifetime.
With Dead Reckoning, you're in for a good time, but also a long time. This is the longest Mission Impossible film to date, clocking in at 2 hours 43 minutes, comfortably beating Fallout's not too shabby 2 hours 27 minutes. This might also explain the wait to see the pre-credit sequence. If you're a fan of knowing who's in a movie, then for this one, you'll need to be patient, because you won't see this info until 28 minutes into the film. Or you could do what everyone else does and use IMDb. So the movie had a long runtime, but you also had a long wait if you wanted to see it at all. That's because, as we've already mentioned, it was delayed several times. In fact, it was delayed 4 times. It was originally set to be released in July 2021, but due to everyone being stuck inside, it was moved to November. Then it was pushed to May 2022 to put Cruise's other baby, Top Gun Maverick, out of its misery with a theatrical release at the expense of Mission Impossible. Then, 2 more delays happened because of similar reasons that we're all bored of hearing about, which led to an eventual release in July 2023. Was it worth the wait? You be the judge. No, seriously, please let us know. You can't have Mission Impossible without its theme tune. I often hum it to myself while cooking. This is why the team behind the soundtrack made sure to hide some references to it wherever they could. In the Arabian desert sequence, after Hunt enters a building, he turns and fires 4 shots at an enemy. These shots match the opening theme. The bombs under the train bridge also go off in a sequence in a homage to the rhythm of those iconic first 4 notes of the theme. And while we're talking about music, to keep the existing themes fresh, ever-evolving, and of course top secret like all good spies, composer Lorne Balfe incorporated the rhythmic, synchronized styling of the Miserable Face top secret drum corps into the soundtrack. Macquarie and Cruise heard them perform at the Queen's Jubilee in 2022 and convinced Balfe to use this signature drum corps sound, most notably during the opening and end credits. This explains why the group also had a starring role at the movie's premiere. Like most modern action movies, there are lots of visual effects used on Dead Reckoning Part 1, but for the sandstorm scene, an unusual combination was used to create the extreme clouds. There were digital assists by visual geniuses Industrial Light and Magic, but also a real storm was created by using jets to disturb the stand. Visual effects supervisor Neil Corbold revealed that this equipment was just lying around in his workshop. It remains to be seen whether the jet was borrowed from Cruise's personal collection of planes. Regardless, a lot of his hot air caused problems on set in another way. We'll find out how later. The tunnel in Rome near the Colosseum that Ethan drives through in the Fiat 500 chase, amazingly, does exist for real. The Italian capital has several of these quirky and seemingly secret side streets and openings, which the production team were able to exploit for the movie. In fact, so much so that most of this sequence is geographically sound. And if that isn't a reason to go and watch the movie, then you're probably not that into geography. In August 2020, early into the production of the film, the production team was met with controversy for a plan to destroy a protected Polish monument for the purposes of a stunt scene at the end of the movie. Locals considered the Pilchowicki Bridge to be historically significant and didn't want it blown up, especially for a blockbuster like this. Not even Macquarie's plan to bring tourism to the town could persuade residents to change their minds. In this case, it was power to the people, and the crew had their proverbial tails between their legs as they were forced to Derbyshire in England to do the stunt instead. There's another stunt I'm sure you know I need to talk about, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten. That one's coming up very soon. Earlier we talked about how the actress who plays Paris was a jack-in-the-box on set, but her character wasn't just about her movement, it was about her look as well. She has very little dialogue in the film, so the actress went about emphasizing her body language instead. To do this, she went all David Attenborough and studied videos of the shoebill stalk, and she found that it had a subtle yet menacing demeanor, exactly what she wanted to emulate for this silent but deadly Paris. The striking white makeup with black tear was also Pom's idea, in her own words, to bring an insanity to the character. Mission accomplished. We know that production had issues because of the disease that cannot be named, and we know that Tom Cruise is a very intense man. Put these two together, and you've got some potential issues. That's exactly what happened on set. Cruise was recorded laying into staff on set for not staying far enough apart from each other during filming.
Because they believe in us and what we're doing! I'm on the phone with every studio at night!
This resulted in at least 5 crew members quitting. Thankfully, there was still enough left to record this next epic stunt. Cruise doesn't do things by halves, so there was no way he was going to let a stunt double ride over a cliff on a bike. For what's being called the biggest stunt in movie history, it took a year's worth of prep, and as part of that, the actor did 500 skydives and over 13,000 motocross jumps. By the time he did it for real, I wouldn't be surprised if he was bored. Hopefully not too bored, because he did the thing another 6 times for the shots the crew needed. It remains to be seen if the real reason is that he was having too much fun.